Hi guys, thank you for your continued support and welcome back to this channel. So today I want us to look at a concept in calculus which is called derivatives from the first principle. So we want to get the derivatives of functions from the first principle. The first principle, it makes use of the limit. And if we have this diagram here, that is the Cartesian plane. We have y-axis as the axis and the horizontal axis as x-axis. Suppose we have a function like which is that this is an arbitrary function. I'm calling it f of x, and we have 2 points. We have a point A here, and we have a point B here. Derivative simply means change. That is change in y over change in x. So this point B here corresponds to a point X on the X-axis, and this point A here corresponds to a point X plus H on the X-axis. So that the difference between X and X plus H is simply this H. On the vertical axis, I have this point A, which corresponds to f of X plus H, and this point B here will correspond to the f of x on the vertical plane axis. Okay, so we are interested in getting this change from point A to point B. And that change is simply given by change in y over change in x. Okay, so this change can be represented using the concept of limit. So that the change which we are calling the first derivative f prime of x becomes, it is the limit as h approaches 0 of f of x plus h minus f of x, that is change in y, divided by change in x, and our change in x here is simply h. So this formula is what we are referring to it as the first principle or the fundamental principle for derivatives. So we can be asked to find the derivative of a given function from the first principle. So I want us to do an example where we are showing that. Use the first principle. Use the first principle to find the derivative of the function. To find the derivative of the function. And the function here is simply to find the derivative of the function f of x, which is given as 3x squared. Yeah. So we want to use the first principle, and the first principle says that the first derivative f prime of x will be given as the limit as h approaches 0 of f of x plus h minus f of x, and then everything there should be divided by h. Okay. So first thing first, we need to get our f of x plus h. That's all we need. So, and how do we get that? This is the first part in that formula. So we just go to a function in question, and where you have x, you have to replace that with x plus h. So therefore, we have the limit as h approaches 0, f of x plus h becomes 3 into x plus h squared minus f of x is simply what you have in question, which is 3x squared. Then that should be divided by h. So we'll continue further to simplifying the top there. We continue simplifying this numerator until we get the final answer. So we have to open this part and we continue writing the limit as h approaches 0. If we expand this part, we'll have 3x squared plus 6xh plus 3h squared minus 3x squared. And all that should be divided by h. So we can see terms that will collapse to a 0, 3x squared minus 3x squared. And then we can factorize h so that we have limit so that we have limit as h approaches 0 of you factorize h and it will cancel with the one in the denominator. So you'll be left with 6x plus 3h. So now we just come and evaluate our limit by just simply putting a 0 where there is h, so that we have 6x plus 3 times 0, which happens to be 6x plus 0, and your answer becomes 6x. Thank you so much for your continued support. Continue subscribing and for you to get more videos. Continue sharing this information with your niece, your nephew, your sisters, and let them learn mathematics the easiest way possible. Thank you.